Meadows Farm. I'm sitting here in my garden and it's October. It's a beautiful day today. It's still very mild here in the southwest of England, and I'm here on my first vlog, so bear with me. And I'm hoping you're going to enjoy it, as I've got a 32-acre holding here and I keep a breed of pigs called large black pigs. This is a regenerative agriculture farm, and we are farming for a better future. So we are completing the carbon cycle and sequestering carbon back into the soil. This, I believe, is the best course for the future of farming, and it will help us feed ourselves and feed the soils and complete the soil food web. So come along with me while I take you on a garden tour. So these are my Crown Prince pumpkins, and they have been harvested recently, so there's really not a lot left of the squash patch anymore, and it's very weedy, as you can see what's left of it. There's still one there that's still maturing. There's a lot of wood and things that I've just thrown down on the ground to try and suppress the weeds, and this will all have to be sorted now. Some of it here has already been weeded or was in process. This is what it all looked like before, and this is just one summer's worth of growth, as this was a completely clear bed in the spring. So yes, a lot of work to stay on top of for a few pumpkins. We have already harvested a few others, so there we go, that's the pumpkin patch. Okay, this is the section of the garden which has been my lettuce patch for most of the summer. As you can see here, I have already done a lot of weeding here this autumn, so it's looking a lot clearer, and I'll show you round. So here we have some colitas, which are like they're, oh, we've got snails in there. Let's get the snails out. I don't want those in here. Remove all the little baby snails. But this is a plant that is a cross between a Brussels sprout and a kale, and they were quite expensive seeds to buy. So only 2 of the plants have survived since I planted them earlier in the summer, but they're looking good, and hopefully we have some nice produce from them later. We have some marigolds on the ends of the beds. We have a lettuce here. This is a spinach, again, a couple of spinaches. That's a chard, this is a spinach. Those are the only ones that survived. I have more, I have seeded more elsewhere in the garden. So we have various lettuce along here. I'll take you along the rows. And these lettuce I seeded early spring and sowed them from trays in batches. The Lolo Rosso here. So quite a few of those still going. We've got some winter produce, winter greens here that can be harvested. Look like they've already been a little bit slugged, damage. Another big lettuce. These are lovely and lush lettuce. A few red lettuce. These are sort of later varieties that will survive now for a little while before they go to seed. And again, all the way along here, we have a Lolo Rosso that's gone to seed, so I'm going to cut that soon and shake all the seeds out. Some spring onions, just a few left in here that I pick as and when I want a spring onion. This is cut and come again lettuce. This is on the 3rd cut. This is the 3rd regrowth after cutting, so it's been cut 3 times. So this is the 4th. All the red, there's very little red in here now because it's all gone to seed, so it's all been pulled out. So it's mostly just green lettuce here now. This is some lamb's lettuce here for the winter, and that's pretty much everything that's in here. Oh, we have some carrots, some strawberries here, a little section of strawberries, another strawberry bed here that is completely overgrown. This section hasn't been weeded for some time. These are carrots. Quite a lot of them have been pulled, but they're still growing in there. We have some radishes here that are growing. Some purple kale, which hasn't done very well at all, so that's not so good. Some onions, various onions here. I did seed a lot of onions last year, and most of them went to seed this summer, so yeah. This is the back section. I've got some chamomile growing and a lot of weeds. There's some other perennials in here, little plants that I've seeded, but you can't really see them. And a rhubarb here that definitely needs all pulling back now. Did quite well in the corner there. This section of the garden I've recently weeded out, and we've got quite a lot of cabbages here. I've pulled these ones out yesterday, and they're in a big clump like that. I just seeded them. I didn't have a lot of time in the summer, so I just threw a load of seed down in this patch, and I'm now moving all the cabbages into positions where they've got a bit more room. This is Rocket, and actually it's worked quite well, though it wasn't really any, I didn't really have a good think about what I was doing when I threw seed in here into this bed, but actually it's worked quite well to protect the cabbages from the sparrow damage, which we get a lot of here, because they've all been growing up underneath the Rocket, which is now all beginning to flower. Here we have fennel, and I'm quite pleased. This is the first time I've grown fennel here, and it's all going to flower, which is great, and I'm just going to let it all drop down. I'll try and collect some seed, but hopefully it'll all just reseed itself as long as I keep it weeded over winter, and hopefully this will become a established fennel. Not fennel, this is dill. It's quite similar to fennel in a way. It looks quite similar, but it's dill, and this is great for my chutneys because I make a lot of chutneys, and it's a nice ingredient. Here we have a new growth of spring onions. So these were planted about 2 months ago, and they're beginning to come up now. They'll be ready in a little while. Here we have some amaranth. Again, I sowed this quite late in the season, so it's really out of season now. But it's growing there. It's all right. This was the potato patch, believe it or not. It's now completely overgrown. It's just so many dock leaves. It's been really, really hard to keep on top of it. So, as you see, I've thrown a bit of card and plastic around to try and hold it back around some. Because here I've grown some sweet potatoes, but they're really getting taken over. You can barely see them in here from all the dock leaves. So I've tried to sort of give them a bit of space. It was a bit of an experiment. I didn't really know whether they'd do well or not. So this is another one, sweet potato. At the back we have Jerusalem artichokes. If I can get you a good view of them, you can see that they're flowering now. Got some quite they're very tall flowers, and once the flowers are over, another couple of weeks we'll be ready to pull some Jerusalem artichokes for the winter. We did manage to pull a lot of potatoes out. There's a few left here in a pot that ones weren't really good enough to eat, so I chucked them there to go green. Yeah, maybe they'll reseed. I can seed them again. Here, this is landcress gone to seed. Again, it's been completely taken over by grass, and it's going to be interesting. Well, it's going to be hard work to recover this area again, but no doubt I will. A bit of an experiment over here. I made a hugel bed and planted some strawberries, but really they didn't do very well. It's just too dry here, so I'm going to remove them and find a better place to plant them. So here we're back into the garden area, which is a little area that I have with some tables and chairs, and we like to have barbecues out here in the summer when I have helpers. And I'm growing a hedge here. In this area I have a few fruit trees, and I'm making a bed here under the trees, and I'm thinking of maybe having strawberries in here. This section is all wild, so this is a meadow that needs constant cutting, really, but because of the trees are in here I can't have it grazed. On this side of the fence we have a little pond area that is still a work in progress, and it's a little field. A horse comes in here sometimes and grazes it down. There he is in the background. I don't know if you can see him. I haven't really got a zoom on this lens, but he's eating grass out. As you can see, beyond this little garden area is the rest of the farm, and we have pig houses over there, and the caravan on the end of the fence is a chicken area, and I'll get on to showing you a bit more about that later. So here we have the last of the summer squash. And believe it or not, I haven't pulled these out yet because they are still, bless them, trying to make fruit. They're really, really tiny now. So I'm going to pull those pretty soon, I think. But I thought while we've still got a little bit of warm weather, there's a chance of them putting on a little bit more, making some bigger fruit. And so we'll have to see. Here's another one. So these are the last two of these. I've covered most of this bed over now, as you can see. Trying to recover it. And yeah, it'll all get dug out and covered probably with bigger bits of plastic. These are just things that I've just found lying around. This is another bed here that's been completely overrun with weeds all the way along here. It's partially dug out on this side, but you can see it's just a big weedy mess. So I've got my work cut out for me, and unfortunately some of these weeds have gone to seed as well. These are sort of pretty pink flowering weed. That's a lot of it's near the pond, and it's seeded itself here, so I've got to pull all of that out. When I do pull them out, I have this bag here which I put in. This is all dock leaves that have gone to seed, and I try and pick them as carefully as possible and put them in here, because otherwise we just have thousands and thousands of dock leaf seeds, and I'm constantly have spent all summer fighting them. And this is an area that was dug over recently, and as you can see, this is what I get here. This is all seeded dock leaf. It's just a mass of it, and it's really hard work dealing with it. I keep I'm just constantly having to pick off the topsoil. So again, this all needs covering. So another garden mission is cut up a lot of this black plastic, because that's all I've got at the moment is this black builder's plastic, which is quite cheap. It's about £40 a roll, so that's what I'm using, because that's what we've got here to hand. And I will cover this all over, and then once it's died down a bit, dig it all out again. So this summer we finally got in a fence line, this windbreak netting, and we've put plastic around the edges, which keeps all the grass at bay. So this is an ongoing project to get the edges sorted and the whole of this garden area fenced. This other fence line here we recently moved this summer. Again, it's a stock fence, and as you can see, the grass grows up really long on the edge of the fence, and it's right down there. Look, that's the bottom of the fence there. So again, I'll pull this all out from the edges, put plastic along the edges of the fence line and more of this green windbreak netting, and that will help me reclaim this area. Okay, so that was the tour of the market garden. I do hope you enjoyed it. And next we're going to go and have a look at my flock of laying hens, because it's feed time for them, and we'll go collect some eggs. So do come along. Chook, chook, chooks. Come along, girls. Oh, they've drunk all their water. Time for a water top up. And we go into the caravan. Okay, so this is an old caravan that I use as a chicken tractor, and I think, you know, it's probably got another season in it. Maybe I'll get a couple of seasons out of it. We've got plans for a nice new one. There we go. Good girl. Okay, loving that. It's very dry in here. Here we go. It's an eggie. Let's pick up the egg. A few more eggs here. We like to lay in here in the shavings bag. A little nesting place for them. Comfy spot to lay your egg if you're a chicken. And we've got a little box down here with a few in as well. So we have about 27, 28 birds here, and they're all behind this large electric net. They've got a 150 metre round area. They've been on this patch approximately 2 weeks now, and you can see where they've scraped out the grass. This is directly next to their little porthole. And they sort of scrape the grass down and do quite a good job, really. So I think by the end of the week I'd like to move these again we're going to move them further out that way. Okay, so let's take these eggs in. We don't really need a lot doing to them. I've already done my eggs for today. I've got a delivery, and I deliver 5 dozen a week to one household that love my eggs. I say they're the best in the area, and the rest will go to the farmer's market at the end of the month.